Welcome back to another episode of Life Advice You Don't Hear in Church. I'm Tiffany. This is my husband, James. You have not made a guest appearance in a while, actually.
It's true. I am coming out of semi-retirement.
I'm excited to have you back. So today we want to talk about what a healthy sex life actually looks like. I think there's a lot of really, let's be honest, toxic messages about this in the church.
Yeah, some of which are explicit and some of which are just sort of like implicit, that it's just... Someone might say, well, I don't know if I was ever told that, but that is what I think.
And there's all these different ideas about sex being for the guy or women owing their husband sex whenever they want it that are backed up by Bible verses. Now, I heard someone say recently, a Bible scholar, that theology is not about having a certain Bible verse you pin to it or you could justify anything. Theology is making sense of the Bible as a whole and the message it sends and how you apply that to our world today. And so we want to keep that in mind, but we will look at some of those Bible passages that are, in my opinion, grossly misused when it comes to sex. So I'm going to share a lot of my own journey with this because I don't know that these messages affected you as much growing up, like from when we've talked about it.
Well, no, but I mean, I think I can certainly relate personally that it's very easy to have a very self-centered view of sex. And I think as a guy, and probably, I mean, I'll speak to it as a guy, but I think probably as a lady, that's very possible too. I mean, I think by nature, we all are selfish or self-centered people, and that we all usually think about things in terms of, well, how does this affect me? What does this do for me? And if you're not careful, the self-centeredness can apply to your sex life.
That's a good point, yeah. I grew up definitely internalizing some of these messages, like about modesty, you know, my body's job is to keep guys from lusting, and then that transferred. We've talked about that in other videos linked below, but I think that transferred to my sex life. And I remember hearing people say, or reading books that said, you know, it's a woman's job, a wife's job to have sex with her husband enough that he won't look at porn. And I really thought, like, if I don't want James noticing other girls or down the road cheating on me, he's never struggled with porn since I've known him, at least.
That's true. Yeah.
But I was like concerned, you know, what if he cheats on me someday if I don't have sex with him enough? Or what if he wishes he were with someone else? And I thought it was my job to keep him from lusting by offering my body as a sacrifice.
Yeah, and this is not something we ever talked about. This was never something that Tiffany said explicitly.
Right.
You know, gee, are we having sex enough so that you're not looking at other people? This is all like subconscious. And that's where I think a lot of misinformation and bad ideas come up, is because you're not talking about, well, this is what I'm feeling. I know I'm doing this, but this is why I'm feeling and why. And, you know, I'll be honest, as a guy, if my wife offers to have sex with me, I'm not asking a lot of questions as to why this happened. I'm usually asking, like, how soon is this going to happen? Because I realize there's, you know, sex takes a lot more energy to enjoy for a woman than it does for most guys.
Especially if you've been raised in purity culture. There's a lot of unlearning you have to do of these messages that make it hard to enjoy sex, and then there's a lot of learning of your body that you were never allowed to do as a woman.
But don't you think a lot of that is because for women, like, in order to really enjoy sex, you have to be in a certain place mentally?
Absolutely.
I mean, with the guy, you don't really need to be in a certain place mentally to enjoy sex. I mean, you're pretty much going to enjoy it on some level. You know?
And we are talking in generalities. Obviously, every person is unique and different, but I think for many women that's true. Like, you gotta like have your mind there, and if you don't, if you're distracted, if there's all this stuff weighing on you, it's very difficult to enjoy sex. Quick interruption to say, if you want to learn more about sex, I'm talking all the details about what sex is, how to have it, the first time, how to enjoy it, all that stuff. Check out our course, The Wedding Night Talks. It's especially geared toward couples saving sex for marriage and what we want you to know about sex before your wedding night. Check that out down below, and let's go back to the video. But there's also this element of learning. You have to learn what makes you into it, what makes you interested, and you have to jump on that for yourself, not just for your husband. And I think for me, I had to be a little selfish for a while. And instead of, like, whenever we'd have sex, I was like, I have to make sure he's enjoying it. I have to make sure he's enjoying it. I have to make sure I'm offering often enough that he feels like I want him.
I was enjoying it.
Yeah.
Yes. I will go on record as saying that.
Yeah. And a lot of times I'd get so distracted by that pressure or by having sex because I felt like I should and not because I wanted to, that I couldn't enjoy it. Or it made it a lot harder too. And for a while, I'd talk with some friends, they'd be like, oh, well, it's okay if you don't orgasm. It's okay if you're not really enjoying it. You know, it's for your husband. And I was like, but I want to enjoy it, dang it. Like, come on, you know? And I remember...
I didn't realize people would tell you that.
Yeah, that was even when I was single. My married friends would say that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's almost like something you realize after a couple of years. Natalie, you're going to need to wait for just a minute, sweetheart. We're talking. You realize, sweetheart, if you don't wait, I will turn off your show. We need to learn patience. We will not be making any parenting videos. How to negotiate with your 4-year-old and occasionally win. That would be the name of the video. But yeah, it's almost like maybe you've had sex for a while, you realize you don't really like it, so you start to rationalize why you don't like it, and it isn't enjoyable.
And like, if you don't enjoy it, it's a lot of effort to go to for something you don't want to do and you don't enjoy for yourself. Like, I know some people do that, but like for me, I'm like, I would just become bitter. I would resent my husband, be like, I'm doing all this for you so you can enjoy it after I already pushed a baby out of my you-know-what and like chase these kids around all day. 2 babies, you know? So I was like, I don't want that to be my story. I want to have sex because I want to have sex and I want to enjoy it. And so,
yeah, what you're describing describes how I feel about cleaning the bathroom. I don't really care if the bathroom's dirty, but if I cleaned it a lot, I would feel bitter about putting in the effort.
I mean, I hope sex isn't like cleaning the bathroom. There were times in our marriage when it did feel like that, though. Not currently, but
yeah.
I remember there were times I was thinking to myself, like, I would rather be cleaning. Like, why?
Yeah.
I thought I told you that before.
I don't know.
Breaking this awful news to you. So I talked to James about it, and I told him how I was starting to feel all these different things, and he's like, I don't want you feeling that way. Like, I want you to have sex because you're enjoying it and because you want it, not because of me. He's like, I'm a big boy. Like, I waited till marriage to have sex. I can wait a few days in between. Like, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And I want you to enjoy it.
It's a verbatim quote.
Yeah. He's like...
It sounds like me.
he's like, it's more enjoyable for me anyway if you're enjoying it too.
100% true. 100% true. Like, I mean, I can tell if Tiffany is having sex because she feels guilty or if she's really into it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's obvious, and it's way more fun and it's way more enjoyable if we're both really into it.
Yeah. I was like, okay, I'm going to be a little selfish for a while and I'm only going to offer when I want it. And then when we're having it, I'm going to be more focused on me and learning what feels good to me and giving you that feedback instead of worrying about if you're having a good time. I'm just going to assume you're having a great time and I'm going to focus on myself.
Yeah, and actually because of that, I stopped orgasming.
Shut up.
Oh, wait, that's not true.
And, you know, it took some time, and at first we started having sex a lot less. Poor James. But you were okay with it. You're like, I want you to, like... I don't know, you were very...
maybe this is going to sound weird. I know that this happened, but I don't legitimately remember this. In other words, it wasn't scarring. It was like, oh yes, I remember back in those dark days of the fall of 2020 when we only had sex, you know, every 4 weeks. Like, I don't remember that. It wasn't traumatizing.
Yeah.
I don't track.
Yeah. And so, like, that's what we started doing, and I started trying to pay attention to my own body, to what things made me interested, and kind of acting on it, not because I was like, oh, James would like it. If I started thinking that, I was like, nope, not doing it. And he would even start asking me, are you offering because you want it or you think I want it? And I'd answer honestly, and he would be like, yes or no, depending on my answer. You were like my biggest supporter. You were my only supporter.
That would be it's probably appropriate.
But yeah, so... Guys, it's amazing the difference it makes when you're not having sex out of obligation, but you're doing it because you're noticing that your body is interested and that you want it. And yeah, we don't have it as often as when we first got married. That is partially because I don't sleep and we have 2 very small children. Yes. So that would happen no matter what. Factor. Yeah, we'd have sex more otherwise. But it's gotten so good. Like, I've been able to learn my body, and I orgasm pretty much every single time, at least once when we have sex. Was that too much to share?
That might be too much to share. I don't know, though. I don't know.
I just want to say, like, you can enjoy it, women. Like, this is for you, too. And now when we have sex, I'm like, this is for me. Like, I'm doing this for me, too. And now I'm starting to be able to focus more on him as well in the experience, but it took a while to learn myself and realize, like, what I needed, and I had to be a little selfish for that time. And I think sometimes...
And I don't think of it as being, oh, this is Tiffany being selfish. I think this is Tiffany, you know, taking stock of what it takes to really enjoy sex and to get better at sex.
Yeah.
Like that's what it took, is just a kind of a change of focus. So I wouldn't, when you say I had to be selfish and focus on me, I don't think of it as being selfish. I think you took steps to enhance our sex life. Because when you enjoy it more, it enhances our overall sex life.
That's true, in our relationship. I would recommend, though, Sheila Gregor has some amazing resources both on how to achieve orgasm as a woman and also on busting some of these awful myths that hold us back. And her book, The Great Sex Rescue, is a great place to start. I'll link that down below if you want it. But I just want to share this because I think we hear a lot of Christians who are like, sex is for the man and like give it whenever I want it. And I wanted to talk real quick about the Bible verse that comes from. Is it 1 Corinthians 7, I want to say, where it's like, you are not in charge of your own body, but your wife is in charge of your body, and vice versa.
Words to that effect, yes.
And a lot of people have taken that and spun it in this misogynistic way to say, like, anytime the husband wants sex, you got to give it. And in reality, if you think about what it means to honor someone's body as your own, you're looking out for their best interests. You are loving them, which is the whole purpose of the gospel and marriage, to be loving, to be looking out for their best interests, not how can I satisfy my you-know-what as fast as possible, but instead, like, how can I love my spouse? How can I be there for them and encourage them? And that's what that passage is talking about. So we've like spun it way out of context and to this dark and ugly thing, and instead we need to take that back and realize like it's all about love.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's a Bible verse, but I feel like the end result there is just selfishness. I want sex, you give me sex. Sex is designed to bring two people closer together.
Yeah,
and your bodies might be closer together, but emotionally, I don't think you're getting closer together.
That's true.
And I think long term, it's a very dangerous way to use sex. It's kind of like it's becoming much more about power.
Yes.
Which is, when you think about sexual assault it's not really about sex. Like, oh my goodness, I just have to have sex. It's much more about power.
Yeah.
And I think this is
getting into that slippery territory. Like saying a Christian marriage is essentially like the husband has the power with sex, and it's wrong. It's unhealthy.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be that way. So guys, I hope this can help you. Thanks for chatting with us, and we'll be back again soon. Bye.